Hello. I would like to take just a few minutes today to talk about what I believe is one of the most influential women in American history, and that would be Abigail Adams. Many know her as the wife of our second president, John Adams, and the mother of the sixth president, John Quincy Adams. But I want to focus today on two main reasons I believe she's so influential, and that is number one, the role of support that she provided to her husband throughout his life, but number two, also the image of feminist icon that she took on. She was the daughter of a parson. She had no formal education, and she actually met John Adams when she was 15 years old. And that's when they began a correspondence of letters that they would continue throughout their lifetime. A really great book that talks about this is actually called The Book of Abigail and John. It's a collection of letters between Abigail and John, and just invaluable primary source material. And as historians, we must be dedicated to a reasoned and investigated reconstruction of primary sources, which is why I believe this book is so important. But besides just being a collection of the letters that they exchanged, it also emphasizes the support that she provided to John Adams. Most of their marriage, they actually spent apart because of his role as ambassador and president. And she talked about how the book says she actually says it was her sacrifice to her country. Obviously, she would prefer to have her husband home, but she was okay with it because she knew that he was fulfilling his duties and responsibilities. Not only that, but the book emphasizes how John Adams took her position seriously. Often throughout their letters, she would state her viewpoint and her ideas about certain issues, even political issues. He didn't denounce them. A lot of times he actually publicly supported them. So she provided that role. And then even while he was away, she had to be the manager of their estate and handle the financial matters at home. And the book talks about how many of the founding fathers actually went into debt because they were away for so long. But Abigail Adams handled the estate and everything so well while he was gone. The book actually says that she saved him from financial ruin. But I think one of the most important points that the book emphasizes, it talks about how John Adams throughout his life struggled with two forces, doubt and determination. At times he would be egotistical, and at times he would just be very depressed and self-deprecating. And the book says she was his rock. And if it wasn't for Abigail Adams, the book says they really believe he would have self-destructed because of this struggle internally. But another reason that I believe she's so influential is many view her as one of the first feminist icons. And that might be a stretch, but she was an advocate of women's rights. An article that's actually entitled Abigail Adams by Mara Dalger actually talks about this specific idea. And it says that the main reason people believe that is because of a letter she wrote to John Adams when they were writing the Constitution. And her famous line was, "Remember the women." And she talks about how the past had been very unfavorable to women in their role, and she encouraged him to support women in that. But the article also talks about how she was an advocate of women's education. It talks about how she was a shrewd and calculating businesswoman. And one of the most controversial things that she actually did is when she died, she left most of the property in her will to her granddaughters and not a male heir. She also kind of forged this new role for women as a first lady. She kind of relished this role of being an advocate for women and taking on and being involved in politics. An article called The Court of Abigail Adams actually talks about how she used the print world to her advantage as First Lady. She would offer commentaries to publications and even provide letters to print publications so that people could really understand the government's view on certain politics. And that article actually goes as far as to say she forged a new role for herself and the women who followed her in the Republican court. So for those reasons combined, I think that we can agree that she was very influential in American history.